This is the Canada Hoops Daily Podcast. Rate us, review us, like, follow, and subscribe. Wherever you get your podcasts, it's Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Don't forget to follow the social media accounts on, of course, the app formerly known as Twitter and Instagram. All that fun stuff. Webby's just got a house floating around. But my name is Sheldon Alexander. Dinosaurs. There's lots going on here. Right? We're back. Been a long time. We shouldn't have left you, right?
Yes.
Lots going on in the pod world. Not really gonna dig too deep into it, but I'll say this. We were planning. This was going to be a thing to start the season, and then some stuff came up on my end that needed to slow down, needed to take a bit of a pause, which is cool, which is all right.
Don't apologize. The NBA season doesn't start until Christmas Day.
How did I know you were going to say that? How did I know?
Christmas Day. It's the longest preseason. I don't even watch the in-season tournament. That's basically preseason.
See, I have the complete opposite take. I enjoy the NBA Cup. I support the NBA Cup.
The semifinals and the finals were awesome. Were incredible.
So you can't be against the NBA Cup and then say, well, the semifinals and finals were amazing. That's the point.
It was competitive. Everything else from, October or September all the way to Christmas Day is not very competitive.
Hold on. The first round of the NBA playoffs suck as well. That doesn't mean you don't like the NBA playoffs.
Listen, I love the first round of the NBA playoffs, honestly, most than any other. Like can Chicago do it? No, they can't. They can't. I'm a big Buzelis guy.
Are you an NBA play-in guy or no?
Yeah, okay. I am.
Okay.
I do like the NBA play-in because it's after Christmas Day. Anything after Christmas Day, NBA-wise, I'm in.
Okay. Before then, it's just all birds and Phillies. Is that
still all birds? We got a big game on Sunday coming up, Sheldon. Listen, 49ers fan, Eagles fan, and I know that you work with lots of my Eagles brethren there in the newsroom, and I know that they're representing. Oh, hold on. Big Christmas gift. Come on, bro. I had to get my boy.
Did you see the clip, the mic'd up clip where someone went to read Blankenship and the guy's like yo, what up, Coop?
Yeah.
It's like, yo, what up, Coop? And he's like, wrong one, man. It's not me.
It's so good. It was amazing.
Incredible stuff. But glad to see the vibes are already here to start the Canada Hoops Daily Podcast. As always, huge shouts to the people who have been rocking with us, talking ball over the years in different iterations, no matter the colors, no matter the name of the pod, the vibes are always high. And to those of you who are new, welcome. We talk ball, obviously from a Canadian perspective on the Canada Hoops Daily Podcast. You've been familiar with us here talking said basketball. We're going to talk a lot of Raps. We're going to talk about, different Canadians in the league, but mostly we're just here for a good hangout to talk about basketball and the on-court interactions here of the NBA. And we start off.
Maybe off-court interactions too sometimes. Those are some of my most favorite interactions, are the off the court interactions as well.
Well, I mean, the NBA is a league of its own, we should say, right? Because it's just so strange. And we'll get there when we talk about the Trae Young stuff for sure. Because that's something that I don't know happens in any other league where you have someone who's in the prime of their career, an all-star, get traded for basically nothing. But we'll deep dive into that, right? But as of now, it is currently Friday, January 9th. And your Toronto Raptors. Happy New Year. Hey.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yes. I will allow the Happy New Year. Yes, we can still chill the
You're
Happy
still
New
there.
Year.
Larry David said January 7th, but we haven't potted in a while. We'll throw the Happy New Year in there.
For sure. Because of the occasion of the pod being back, we will discuss and say Happy New Year for sure. Well, I want to start with the Toronto Raptors, who are currently 23-15, good enough for fourth place in the Eastern Conference, fresh off an insane buzzer beater by Immanuel Quickley in a game that, let's be honest, the Raptors had no business winning. because they didn't play well. They didn't shoot well. And then here comes IQ just hitting a massive three to win the game. Great celebration, great team moment. But overall, right, like that to me was almost the epitome of the vibes.
Great call surrounding on the Hornets broadcast too.
Yes.
Great call on the Hornets broadcast. Was incredible. Was incredible.
My guy was so dejected. But you know, the celebration from the Raptors, the vibes from the Raptors, to me, it almost was a microcosm of the whole season for the Toronto Raptors. But I want to start here and just simply ask you, how do you describe the Raptors season so far?
It's a great question. I mean, vibes is obviously a good one for the kids, you know, but I would say unheralded.
Ooh,
okay. The reason that I like this team so much, and I think the reason that they've been having so much success, is that there's not a real North Star on this team that everybody has to capitulate to bow down to. Obviously, Brandon Ingram's been filling it up. We know that he can. Scotty Barnes is the cornerstone, looks like the cornerstone of this franchise. But it seems like they have all these guys, Ingram and Scotty Barnes included, that are so good and fit so well together, and nobody knows much about them on the ESPNs, your Fox Sports Ones, your NBA pods about there. The Raptors, whether they be Canadian or whatever, are right now a 4 seed and basically an afterthought, because outside of basically Scotty Barnes and Brandon Ingram, you can't name anybody on this team if you're, you know, the third ESPN chair on NBA Countdown. Why we love this Raptors team, why people are galvanizing in Toronto and around Canada against this Raptors team, is because of this like sense that, you know, there is no one bigger than the other, right? It is a team to rally around. That's what I think. And they're playing really entertaining basketball. Like, they're not boring.
Yeah. I mean, the thing to me, if I were to describe it, it's like, it's just refreshing after so many years of just tank talk. And it's just refreshing to have a legitimate chance to win a game night in, night out. And the vibes are back for the fan base, which I think was a very important part of this season for the Toronto Raptors. You had a bunch of years in a row where, let's be honest, winning wasn't necessarily the most important thing happening. And so that has an effect on your fan base. So for me, the biggest thing that's been cool to see is the fan base get hype again. The fan base, you know, it's not that the building was empty the last couple of years, because fans were still showing up. Fans were still cheering. But I mean just the casual, like, water cooler talk. Like, I'm getting texts from random friends at the start of this year when the Raps were on that crazy run, and they're asking, hey, are the Raps for real? Are they back? Like, is this like a thing? And I think that part of it is such a huge, huge deal. Just getting the vibes back and being in the middle of the pack for a fan base that, you know, cool. The Raptors won a championship in 2019, but for the rest of their entire existence, as long as they're in the mix, right? You're just in the middle of the pack. This fan base will love you. And so just to be back there and give yourself a chance to win on a nightly basis, I think that's a big part of the Raptors' success, and just happy for me to watch just the vibes come back to the fan base and people be hyped to watch this team and celebrate this team and enjoy and cheer on a team that can win against anyone, any night. Right. And now, I think that's a huge part.
What's been the huge difference between this year and years previous?
Yeah,
there's one big name that's not in the building anymore.
Hold on a second here. Okay,
no.
Okay,
I'm wondering if that has an effect on the team.
Hold on. He was here. Hold on. Everything that happened last year, right? So even getting Brandon Ingram, that's Masai Ujiri. Like, this is Masai Ujiri's team.
Okay, but doesn't this team seem different even than the one that when they added?
Here's what I think.
There's been a big difference.
But here's what I think.
Last year and this year.
For sure. Huge difference between last year and this year. And I really think this kind of shifts me to our next part here. Brandon Ingram, I think, has been a huge, huge part of this Toronto Raptors season. And I just think that the narrative for Brandon Ingram coming into this year, I remember talking about it before the season and thinking, a key part of promoting this team, a key part of talking about this team is going to be bigging up the fact that Brandon Ingram is the best player on your team. And I don't know if the fans, like, I relate it to Kawhi like this. When the Raptors traded for Kawhi Leonard, right? Follow me. I'm not comparing Kawhi Leonard, not comparing Kawhi Leonard to Brandon Ingram. I'm not comparing Scottie Barnes to DeMar DeRozan. I'm just comparing the situation, the scenario surrounding it. So when that trade happened, people knew who Kawhi Leonard was, but they weren't really familiar with this game for real. Like, they didn't know that he was like that dude. Real ones knew, but the majority of the fan base didn't know. Because I'll always talk about it, and we always go back to that time where there were a lot of people who, if we're being honest, there were a lot of people who said something to the effect of, wait, are we sure Kawhi is better than DeMar? Or how much better is Kawhi than DeMar? Which, again, the real ones know. What I'm saying here with Brandon Ingram coming into the situation with the Toronto Raptors is I don't even know if people realized how good Brandon Ingram was. And part of that, same scenario like Kawhi, he's coming off some injuries. So what that does is it allows you to kind of forget a little bit of how good someone can be at the peak of their powers. And what we've seen so far from Brandon Ingram, I mean, I don't know if it's the peak of his powers. I mean, I know he's been telling Danielle, shouts to Danielle. I know that's both of our homies going back to the sport days.
Doing a great job.
Always doing a great job. But I know one of the things that she's constantly been asking him throughout the season, just checking in, how are you feeling in relation to, you know, the peak of your powers? Like, how are you still working your way back from injury? And he said, I want to say it was maybe a month ago, he was like, yeah, you know, I'm still not fully there yet, which is incredible because he's basically putting up like 22, 6-4 this season. And he's already had moments for the Toronto Raptors that, you know, we haven't seen in a couple years, where you're talking about buzzer beaters, wins, and like just moments where he's just taking over the game and going mano a mano against like top stars in the NBA. Like, he's already showing that I think he's better than advertised and what most people expected from Brandon Ingram when the Raptors got him. Like, there's a lot of negative talk about this Raptors acquisition of Brandon Ingram, and then even how all these pieces would fit together to start the season. And credit to him, credit to the rest of the team. I think this fits into what you were talking about in terms of the guys. They all have bought in, and there's a collective direction that everyone is pushing in. And it's not about whose team is it, my team, your team. Like, people understand their roles. And I think that's a huge, huge part of the Raptors' success so far.
So I definitely was more negative on the Ingram deal than positive because of that exactly. I thought that a guy who had, you know, kind of spent his career in LA, then going to New Orleans, thinking he's going to be the man. Now that, you know, AD is gone, I come in, I get to be the man. Now we draft Zion. Now I'm kind of, and I want my own thing. I thought he was going to come in here and try to be that North Star. Instead, what he's been is a professional bucket getter. And that's exactly what the Raptors need. He doesn't put himself up like saying that, hey guys, get on, like, he'll, you know, with his actions get on my back, but he's not going to be the guy who's going to say, this is my team. Hey, Scotty, sit down. This is BI's team. That's not what happens. In fact, I've been so impressed with his NBA professionalism, you know, coming out night in, night out, and working hard. The thing about this Raptors team, again, why I think that they're, you know, the fan base is galvanizing around them, is that, like, they play hard every night.
For sure. Darko has them cooking. Darko has them cooking.
And that's the other one, is that, like, that's another move that I thought was not great, especially in his first, you know, couple of years with the team, where he did seem more rah and more kind of crazy in the locker room. But that is kind of translated now with this team, that it feeds off of them, and they feed off of that kind of into crazy Eastern European coach vibe, and it works with the team. So it's really cool to see. And I mean, when you look at the East, like, let's be honest, they've got a real shot of being a top 3, top 4 seed. And I'll say the same thing about the Sixers. Like, say what you will about the Sixers, the East sucks. They can get to a top 3, top 4 seed easily if, you know, health and all these good vibes stay up.
Like, I think, the way that we phrase it, the way that we frame looking at the Eastern Conference should be in a different, more positive way. Because I think it's awesome that Detroit is so good, despite the fact it might not make the headlines of ESPN every day like it should. Because if we look back, it's not like they were talking about OKC, 2 years ago when OKC was Detroit, like working their way up, getting their way up, building their team, getting their reps, the parity in the league, having more teams matter, having more teams be good. I feel like that's on us, people with microphones, to actually talk about like the on-court stuff in basketball and the teams that are winning, the teams that are good, more so than always transitioning everything to, what's LeBron do? Right? What did LeBron do last week or whatever, like those headlines matter. And
I do want to know what LeBron's going to do. I do want him to waive the no trade. And I want to see that happen. Like, tomorrow.
But I circle that all back to talking about the Raps, right? Because how we ended up in this conversation was you were talking about how the Toronto Raptors are a team that, they might not get the headlines. People around the league or NBA circles or, whatever pods people are listening to might not know much about the Toronto Raptors. And I'm like, well, okay, that's why we're here. To talk about how good this Toronto Raptors team is, to talk about the fact that Brandon Ingram is an all-star, Scotty Barnes is knocking on the door. Like, we wouldn't have thought that the Toronto Raptors would be knocking on the door of having 2 potential all-stars this season and would be a top 4 team in the Eastern Conference. It's not something that a lot of people thought before the season began, but here they are. And they're doing it in part because of Darko having them play hard, demanding their defense be a thing. Also, the competition that is brewed for minutes between, Jacoby Walter, Grady, and Ochai Abaji, like all those guys have to fight for their minutes. Competition breeds guys playing hard, because if you don't come in and play hard and play defense, you're going to end up sitting on the bench. And I think that's been a huge part for the Toronto Raptors' success this year, following Scotty Barnes, who, now that the scoring doesn't, like, not that Scotty Barnes ever scored consistently like 25 to 30 a night,
but that's not what you want him to do.
You don't want him to do that. But now with Ingram, the pressure to do that isn't really
now
there anymore.
And now we can really get into just being an absolute freak show out there.
Well, everyone's moved down a peg, right? So Scotty can do all those other things and exert his energy playing defense and getting in passing lanes and doing all those extra things. RJ now is getting the third matchup of whoever is on the floor for the other team. And he just cooks like crazy whenever he's on the floor. And that's been good to watch. And if there is something I'm worried about long-term, it's Immanuel Quickley.
It's how much money did they give Immanuel Quickley?
Listen, I understand why it happened. I get it. It's been a little tough.
This is what's great. Again, more in the East than in the West is that every one of these teams that you take a look at that is, say, in the top 8, top 10, everybody's got a big hole. Everybody has something that needs to be fixed. And right now, the Toronto Raptors could really use a healthy Fred VanVleet or,
here's the thing.
That's why I thought Trae Young was in such play for the Raptors.
I mean, it's an interesting call, right? And I mean, if we want to get to Trae Young, we can get to Trae Young. But I think the real issue here with Immanuel Quickley, I think that they've given him an opportunity, obviously, with the contract and when they first made the trade, trading away OG and getting IQ and RJ. The opportunity was there for Immanuel Quickley to be a starting point guard in the NBA. And this after years of being the energy guy coming off the bench. And I think part of what we're seeing this season is that he might just be the energy guy that comes off the bench on a good team. And there's nothing wrong with that.
But the problem is that they paid him like a starting point guard rather than before they really saw what he could do in that role.
Well, there is a lot of extenuating circumstances around all that, right? Like they're in the middle of a tank. He got injured. You're trying to retain an asset. And they paid him as if he's like a middle of the road, and starting point guard, right? Like the 17th highest paid point guard in the league. Sure. You know what I mean? So, it's not the greatest contract, but it doesn't exactly crush you either. But my thing is with this deal and with Immanuel Quickley is there are times where I wonder if he's in a good position to succeed. What I mean by that is the traits of how they want him to play, which is, hey, shoot all these threes. And like they're encouraging him to shoot all these threes.
Right.
That's not indicative of a good starting point guard in the NBA.
No. Well,
right?
There are
That's not named Steph Curry.
Who can do that, but you have to be good at doing that. And I don't know, like, what is he? He's getting like 10 threes a game, 9 threes a game that he gets to shoot. Like,
they want him out there jacking up threes.
They want him to do that, but yeah,
and it's tough to do, right?
It is tough to do.
The NBA's gone in this direction where they want everyone to jack up threes and play this math game.
Maxey, you know,
not everyone's I said Steph Curry. Of course, this guy says Tyrese Maxey.
Who? 38-year-old Steph Curry. The guy's my age.
So here's the thing, right? Big stretch coming up for the Raps. Obviously, they got Boston on Friday night. And if we go back to the start of this season for the Boston Celtics, there were some pundits talking about the Celtics tanking this season.
You got to pick.
Right?
Well, it's a good draft. It's a good draft coming up, and absolutely, you give Tatum the whole year. Don't worry about it, and let's let Jaylen Brown go out there and cook. And what happened though is like what we're trying to see with the Raptors now, like having that real foundation. Mm-hmm. And so the Boston Celtics are one of the best run organizations in the NBA. Like Brad Stevens is a very smart and successful executive. Mm-hmm. And this team, whether your all-star or MVP candidate is in the room or not, is so well set up that it doesn't matter. If you go out and you compete, you play for Missoula, who is an absolute psycho like Darko. He's going to get the guys ready to play, and they go out and they compete every night. And it's what the Cavs and it's what the Magic mm-hmm. and it's what these other teams that were kind of hyped to be at the top of the conference because of their past success don't do. The Magic are, I don't know. I turn on a Magic game. Some nights they look amazing, and other nights they look like the Orlando Magic that we've come to know and love over the last 25, 30 years.
Well, I think the one thing about the Celtics, and you say the same about the Raps, it's, can you play hard? Do you have an identity, right? I think those are the two things that differentiate the good teams from the bad teams in the NBA. And playing hard is one thing, but the Celtics definitely have an identity where, okay, cool, Jason Tatum's not there, but that just means more shots for Jaylen Brown, more shots for Peyton Pritchard, more shots for Derek White. And because of their style of play, where so much of their offense is centered around shooting threes, not that they didn't lose a lot with Jason Tatum, because obviously you do, but I feel like their style of play makes it easier for you to replace that if Brown elevates his game to being just the absolute beast he is on both ends of the floor. But then also, Pritchard has stepped right in. He's bumped up his points per game. You give him a couple more threes a game, he's bumped up his points a game. You give Derek White more shots, he's bumped up his points per game. Jaylen Brown has been the MVP, like the beast that he is on both ends of the floor, where he is just a dominating force, playing defense, wrecking havoc on that end, scoring buckets, upping his scoring average. What's he's at? He's at like 30 points per game pretty much. Add in 6 rebounds, 5 assists, but he's doing it at 50% from the floor from a perimeter player who shoots a lot of threes. Like what Jaylen Brown is doing is actually incredible. And listen, you can have the foundation, you can have all of that, and you can have the surrounding pieces that are able to elevate their game to make up for the loss of Jason Tatum. But the Celtics aren't having the season that they have if Jaylen Brown doesn't take this step from being, hey, I'm an all-star to an MVP candidate in the league. And I think that's what's been the most dope part of the Boston Celtics season, that Jaylen Brown has entered the NBA's MVP conversation.
So, okay, the interesting thing that I was thinking about Boston was obviously there are, people are talking about Tatum coming back, mm-hmm. whether it be, March, April, when playoffs start or whatever. But because of that injury, the Achilles injury, it was Achilles, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't and the way that Boston is playing right now, and the way that Jaylen Brown has been going, and if they keep this up while Tatum is out, and you're Brad Stevens, and you have a 1 or a 2 seed, just would you bring Tatum back for the playoffs?
It all just depends on his health. Like it depends on where he's at, right? Like, and that's the thing. Like he's been working out so well that we've seen the updates, way ahead of schedule from before the season started and all that.
I'm a
so
Sixers
it depends
fan.
on where he's at.
I don't give me Ben Simmons in the gym. I don't.
We're not talking.
I mean, when playoffs.
How disrespectful for you to bring up Ben Simmons and even just the Sixers organization because that fraud Joel Embiid and his injury history. How dare you bring up their name when we're talking about Jason Tatum? NBA champion Jason Tatum.
This is what the Sixers would do.
That can't even get to the conference finals.
This is what the Sixers would do. They would play Jason Tatum as soon as they could. Okay, there are so many the chances of injury on top of that Achilles with the calf and everything. And the way that they're going now, it's interesting to think, would Brad Stevens say, hey, I know it's been less than a year. I know this is an injury where really you're not right. We see it in the NFL where you're not right until 2 years or an extra year after that injury.
So here's what I would say. I think it depends on how good they finish up down the stretch, because to me, it's like if he comes back and that gives you a chance to make it to the NBA Finals, like if you believe that this team right now is pretty good, but they're Jason Tatum away from making the NBA Finals, right? Then you do it. But you have to remember that mindset is very different from what I feel like a lot of people, maybe even the Celtics included, to start the year felt about this team. They felt like this team might be okay. Hey, we could make the playoffs. Hey, we could maybe win a round, but that's about it. I'm not sure how many people, including the Celtics themselves, felt like they would still be one of the top teams in the East. So if you become one of the top teams in the East down the stretch and you're looking at it saying, wait a second, we have a shot here where we could make the NBA Finals and Jason Tatum is healthy, you trust your doctors, you trust him, you bring him back. But if they stumble towards the end of the season and they fall a little further down and now they're in that 6th spot or, they're in the play-in or whatever, I'm not bringing back Jason Tatum. It depends on how confident you are in the rest of the team surrounding this whole operation. Because remember, they lost how many key pieces, right? You lost Kristaps, and you lost Drew Holiday. Those are key championship type pieces. And is Peyton Pritchard ready to be a key cog in the NBA Finals? He was a great 6th man, which was cool. He had good moments, but no, now we need you to go night in, night out, right? The guys that you brought in, Anthony Simons, is he ready to be a key cog? You know what I mean? There's so many different elements to it that surround just Jason Tatum's health. How confident are you in the rest of the team surrounding him? To me, that would be my question in terms of bringing him back. But you wouldn't. But what this leads me,
might think of it the other way, where if I was the number 1 seed, I don't know if I would bring him back. But if I'm a 5 or a 6 and knowing, hey, it's the East, things might be able to break my way, then maybe I do bring Tatum back to make sure that I win those first couple of rounds. And then, hey, now I'm in the NBA Finals and Tatum is completely up to speed and now we're off and running. But
I do think it's a very interesting thing.
Everyone in Boston will want to bring him back.
Yeah,
every Celtics fan will want him back.
He's going to want to come back. The only way I think he doesn't come back is if Brad Stevens, as you mentioned, steps in and saves Tatum from himself and just says he's the voice of reason in the room and says, hey, let's just make sure everything's good. Let these guys have their run. Let them have this season where, you get more reps for Peyton Pritchard. You get more reps for some of the young wings and bigs that they've gotten more opportunity this season. Give them a little bit more of a run space to get more, experience so we can evaluate how we build our team up next year when you come back and we are going for the chip, right? Yeah. Where we're able to build our team in the offseason and say, okay, these are the guys we're ready to move forward with. Which brings me to your guys in Philadelphia, because as mentioned, Raptors, big, it's an interesting weekend for the Raps, right? Because
home and home, right? With Philly.
You're playing Philly twice and you're playing the Boston Celtics, and all those 3 teams are jumbled up together in the Eastern Conference. So as we switch gears to the Sixers, right? And, Raps playing 2 games against them, Joel Embiid is back. He's playing. He's in and out of the lineup.
Yeah.
Paul George, I'm seeing as well.
Yeah.
Edgecombe has been amazing.
Well, but
give me your Sixers spiel right now. I know you've been chomping at the bit to talk about the Sixers, so you're lucky they're playing against the Raps. Let me know what's going on in Sixer land.
Okay, so years ago, we did a pod, you and I, and maybe I forget who else was on it, but it was after the draft. Okay. And the Sixers had Doc Rivers as their coach back then. And somehow, some way, guard from Kentucky, Tyrese Maxey, fell to the 76ers. And all of us were in agreement that how did this happen? Mm-hmm. Tyrese Maxey was in that draft. If you watch college basketball, top 3 player, 4 player in that.
He's really good.
And somehow fell to the double digits and came to the Sixers. To see what he's done from 2 years ago, really, when he started playing more, to this year, where he is also an MVP candidate.
Yeah.
Has been awesome.
Wait. I'm not going to give him that much love. Like, I don't know about MVP candidate, but he's playing pretty well.
He is almost the anti-Embiid in that his Q rating score is off the charts.
Yeah.
No one has a bad word to say about Tyrese Maxey.
True.
He is all smiles. He works hard. He is super fun to watch. He is not one of these guys who puts up lazy shots. He is amazing getting to the 10. He is amazing in transition, and he is amazing late in games. To be able to watch him as a fan of the Sixers has been awesome. Whether Embiid plays, whether PG plays or not, Tyrese brings it every night. And you're seeing that with, I mean, there's 2 things I don't care about, All-Star and Hall of Fame. But to see Tyrese Maxey's name in the top 3 in Eastern Conference MVP voting or All-Star voting,
yep,
it means that others have been seeing the same thing and are just as impressed with Maxey. I think that if I were to show somebody who didn't watch NBA, like, hey, I want to watch, show me what this sport is, show me an exciting player, today I'd probably show him either Maxey or Cooper Flag. I think those 2 are so exciting to watch. No, are you like Flag has been amazing?
I'm not saying he's not amazing. I'm just saying those are the 2 most Andrew Webster picks.
Tyrese in the open court going paint to paint is unbelievable. And now the other one is.
Talk to me about VJ Edgecombe.
The other one is VJ Edgecombe. I don't understand how you are not VJ Edgecombe's #1 fan, because I know you love Dwayne Wade.
No. VJ Edgecombe actually makes me mad. He makes me mad because your damn Sixers team should not have VJ Edgecombe, okay?
Oh, he's so good.
You loser tankers shouldn't have been gifted VJ Edgecombe because of Embiid's terrible history with injuries and Paul George's injuries. Then you guys tanked in the worst way possible last year, and then you got gifted VJ Edgecombe. Like, I hate it all.
That shows me that you love VJ Edgecombe.
I do.
You love him.
But I'm a Sixers hater.
I know.
An Embiid hater.
The fact that you have to watch him in the blue and white unis, block shots, come up with steals, hit huge threes, throw down magnificent dunks. It's like I'm on, like Sixers Twitter, Sixers Reddit. People were like, Dwayne Wade, no way. Michael Jordan is the comp. Is the comp to VJ.
My point, though, is what makes me really salty is because there's a world in which, like, it was the Raptors who end up getting VJ Edgecombe because of the ping pong balls,
Right.
And think about how different this Raptors team looks if you plugged in VJ Edgecombe with Brandon Ingram this season to this Raptors team, and you're just like, and I'm not mad at CMB, but I'm just saying there's levels to the rookie draft class, right?
There is CMB and then there's VJ Edgecombe. There's a bit of a gap. But what I will say is that, like, what I like about the Sixers team is that they have two players who most NBA fans are sick of and can't stand. Okay. Paul George and Joel Embiid.
Correct.
They also have 2 players who have pretty much universal appeal as being real ballers in Edgecombe and Maxey. And to see all four of those guys on the court at once is awesome. I love it. We are the hated team in the East, but again, it's kind of the anti-Raptors and anti-Celtics, where it seems like those teams are well coached. They get coached up. We're gonna come out every night, and we're every night we're gonna play hard. Sure, Maxey plays hard every night, but I'm not in love with the Nick Nurse thing.
Okay,
I'm not in love with the Nick Nurse thing. However,
why?
I think that he's too clever by half, or whatever the saying is. He thinks that he is the smartest NBA strategist or whatever. And it's like, at some point you do need to have that motivational aspect of your coaching style. And I don't think that he has it. And I think that this team maybe with some of these guys, maybe too far beyond it. And but then they keep winning these games. Like, they beat the Celtics, I think, around Christmas in an unbelievable, like late quarter comeback. And so I don't know who you would flip Nick Nurse out for.
Well, here's my thing. Here's my thing with these three teams, right? Because I think the Raptors, the Celtics, and the Sixers, like if I'm trying to put those teams in order, right? Because I know where the Eastern Conference standings are, but because we're focused in on these three teams as they're all kind of playing each other this weekend, I kind of look at it and I think the order I'd put them in would be the Boston Celtics, the Raptors, and then the Sixers, only for the reason that you just named, where I know more so what I'm getting every night from the Raptors and the Celtics, whereas Joel Embiid being in or out of the lineup drastically has to change the style of play for the Philadelphia 76ers.
But when he's played this season, he's been really good.
That's been the story of your last how many
seasons, right? I know,
like,
but he's been able to play with Edgecombe and Maxey. It's not like when he's out there and those two guys are playing that everything goes to shit.
No, I'm just saying the style of play has to become different, right? And so that's the interesting part. And like Paul George, I mean, we've barely talked about Paul George for
he's been playing really well.
Yeah, but I mean, like, what are we really banking on for the Sixers long term this season, right? Like, that's kind of the thing where I'm at. All right, this is nice. You guys are on a pretty good run right now, but I'm not buying this long term. I'm not buying Joel Embiid and Paul George's health long term, but your future is bright.
I agree on your ranking of those three teams, but on you're getting the best of this team. I would have the Sixers above the Celtics and the Raptors. If those three teams all play their best game, I think the Sixers' best game is better than the Celtics right now and the Raptors right now.
Like the Celtics without Jason Tatum.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
you catch the Sixers.
If Joel Embiid was able to be healthy the last how many years, he might be like 5-time MVP. Like, miss me with all that. Get out of here. Okay. Sixers corner's over.
Who did I catch him against the other night? And he was just I think
did he just have his first dunk of the season like last week?
Oh, I don't need him. I don't even want him to dunk.
Miss me with Joel Embiid.
But they ran the same play. I think it was against the Knicks. They ran the same play something like 7 times in a row, and it worked every time, and it was all through Embiid, and it was just a beautiful thing to see.
Miss me with Joel Embiid, man. Miss me with all that. I will say, though, big shouts to Kyle Lowry as he comes to Toronto, which could be his last trip. We're assuming it's most likely his last trip through Toronto this weekend. And, of course, obviously he's going to be the next Raptor. You'd assume to have his jersey retired at Scotiabank Arena. Many tout him as the greatest Raptor of all time. So salute to Kyle, who definitely is, when you think of the winning time of this organization of the Toronto Raptors, you do definitely think of Kyle Lowry. That deserves big salute. That deserves, mad credit for sure. We switched from a veteran point guard to a point guard that we were told is in his prime. And yet the team that he was in his prime with has now traded him to the Washington Wizards. And you touched on it earlier, right? Where there were trade talks and rumors about maybe the Raptors being interested in Trae Young. And obviously that didn't go through, although I did find it funny that the trade of Trae Young did happen the same night that Immanuel Quickley hit the game winner. There's some people on Twitter making the jokes like, oh, Quickley hit the game winner, so it's all right. We don't need Trae Young anymore. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. But the big news, of course, this week in the NBA is Trae Young heading to the Washington Wizards for CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. I'm just simply going to start here, Webby. What do you make of this deal? Who won this trade? Like, just what do you make of this whole Trae Young saga?
It's wild that the Atlanta Hawks and Sacramento Kings and there's a third team.
Okay.
Oh, the Dallas Mavericks all gave up on Luka Doncic. What, like, what? Like, you think about who is Marvin, and two of them, Marvin Bagley Jr., I believe, is on the Wizards.
Is he? Probably. He's bounced around. I feel like he's played on every team the last.
And Luka is the third best player in the league.
Well, hold on. I mean, I disagree with that, but story for another day. But I will say it is funny though that yes, the Atlanta Hawks what Webby's referring to people who might not realize is that the Hawks picked Trae Young ahead instead of Luka Doncic in that year's draft. And the funny part to me is that the rumor now is that maybe the Hawks will take said assets and now try to flip assets to get Anthony Davis, who obviously was a person who the Dallas Mavericks traded for Luka Doncic. So it's all just pretty funny. Just all in all, it's like, could the Hawks now trade for Luka? No.
Would you trade though? Would you trade that? I wouldn't trade that New Orleans pick for Anthony Davis.
Of course not. Of course not. I would just take this year, get off of Trae Young's money, because the headline flows out and everyone sees the graphic that has CJ McCollum and Trae Young on it, right? And
no picks.
That does look hilarious because like Trae Young's supposed to be an all-star, one of the best players in the league, and basically he's getting traded for an expiring contract in CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert, who's someone who the Wizards are trying to get out of it paying his contract. So this deal really doesn't make a lot of sense until you peel back a bunch of the layers. And to me, what I feel like is this gives you a little bit of insight into how the NBA works, if that makes sense. Because of the aprons, you have to be very careful of who you give your max money to. The Hawks don't want to re-up Trae Young for his max money. They don't want to pay him, I think it's $50 million that he's owed next season. So they're trying to move him, right? Here's the thing, though. Who has the money and who is under the cap number that has the ability to trade for Trae Young? There's not that many teams available around the NBA that have the ability to do that. So when you realize, this first story comes out from Shams that Trae Young has gone to the team and said that he's willing to, he wants to make a trade. Okay, cool. That's Shams doing the player story, getting the player story out there, right? Hey, Trae Young wants to trade. All right, cool. But in reality, the Hawks want to trade. And in reality, the Hawks want to make a trade with Washington because they're getting what they need, which is just getting off the contract. Yeah, there's not that many suitors out there for Trae Young. And so now are we talking about the next story from Shams where, Trae Young's preferred destination was the Washington Wizards. That might be the funniest headline I've ever seen in the NBA.
Never seen that one before.
And that's saying a lot, right? Like the NBA is a wild, wild place, but never in life have I heard an NBA All-Star been rumored to say my preferred destination is the Washington Wizards. So I think if you read between the lines here, you kind of understand what went down in the sense that, Webby, do you believe this theory? That really, that was the only deal out there. And so just spin it and not make Trae Young look bad. They leak the story that his preferred destination is Washington so that he doesn't look that bad. It doesn't look like, in the entire NBA, only the Washington Wizards want Trae Young and all they had to give up is CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert.
Well, I'm not sure if they were the only team that wanted or could use Trae Young. I'm sure that they were maybe a handful of teams that were able to make the trade for Trae Young.
And you couldn't beat an offer of CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert? Come on, man.
Yeah, it's
you couldn't get one draft pick for Trae Young?
So much more complicated, though, now with these aprons.
True.
Whereas, like, I think that 2-3 years ago, he could have gone many places. But now I think that there was only maybe a handful of, and I'm sure you're right, like, Washington probably was either the first or the most serious about engaging in these talks. And then you leak out, hey, this was, as soon as the story leaked out that this was his preferred destination, you're like, oh, okay, so he's going to Washington. Because it would be really weird if he said that and then he ended up somewhere else. So yeah, I think that there was one reason that story came out was to, make him look good as he goes to Washington.
Yeah, right. And now the story comes out that Washington might not even play him this year.
No, well, that's the other thing too, is that they'll probably pay him $50 million and he will play 10 games. Because what is Washington's benefit for suiting picks, up? Right? Yeah, well, and they need a tank. They need a top 5 pick or something, right? So,
and this is a big time draft coming up too, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's just such an interesting situation where you have the Hawks who, when Trae Young played, they lost a lot of games. So they need to get rid of him and trade him to Washington. But now Washington's like, we can't play Trae Young because we need to lose games.
We need to lose
and Trae Young might help us win. Right? So it's all just crazy and the most NBA trade ever because it really makes no sense. Like this trade doesn't happen in another league where you're just looking at it and you're just like, wait a second, a 4-time All-Star that's 29 years old and you're getting shipped out. Like it's just such a strange move.
Almost as weird as trading Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis and not getting Austin Reeves or anybody else on that team. Very weird.
Very weird. Well, the funny part about that is I mentioned the rumors of the Hawks possibly now trying to trade Kristaps and whatever to get Anthony Davis. And then last night, Anthony Davis gets hurt because of course he's Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Oh man, incredible stuff there. And I know we spent a lot of time talking about the Eastern Conference, but that's just because of the way that, the Raptors schedule was set up this week. Lots of talk about the Sixers and the Celtics because those are big matchups. And of course, a big trade between the Atlanta Hawks and the Washington Wizards. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on NBA wise before we get you out of here, Webby?
Anything else? Like Con Knipple a lot.
Okay.
Wemby's insane. We haven't even talked about Wemby or SGA. Although Oklahoma City's, they've been struggling a little bit, and I'm wondering now, like, because I have so many friends. I lived in Oklahoma, so a bunch of my friends, all my friends down there are Thunder diehards, and then I live in Canada, and so all I get is positive SGA stuff.
What's the negative SGA stuff that you should be getting?
There's got to be a backlash coming here. Some of the foul calls this man is getting, calls that this man is getting are insane. People aren't even touching him, and he's getting foul calls. Now I'm starting to I'm glad that the Thunder won.
Here we go.
But I'm already starting to have a little pendulum swinging the other way on the Thunder. I want them to lose.
Stop
but
this.
They're not. Okay. They're not gonna lose. They're so good. So
if you want to be the villain of this podcast, Webby, then
I do.
Good on you. Okay,
I do.
That is a ridiculous statement. The
rooting against the Thunder and their foul merchant star.
I think you need to put your phone down because you're just caught up in the mentions. You're caught up on the algorithm of all these people just posting the foul baiting Shai Gilgeous-Alexander storyline, which is total and complete and utter nonsense.
Begging for fouls.
Just utter nonsense. You and Steve
He's
Kerr,
like a soccer. I thought we were watching basketball, not soccer.
You and Steve Kerr need to go hang out.
Back in my day, there were hard fouls. now it's rolling around on the ground after you don't get touched. And
hold on, this is coming from a man that cheers for Joel Embiid's Sixers.
Well, here's the thing: for the last 10 fucking years, I've been hearing that Joel Embiid is a foul merchant.
Because he is.
So is SGA.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
Listen.
Yes, he is.
The reality of the Oklahoma City Thunder, unfortunately, is that they play in Oklahoma City. If you took that exact same team and put them even in Los Angeles for the Clippers or in Brooklyn for the Nets. So I'm not even saying the Lakers or Knicks or like some other high profiled, team that everyone knows and loves. Or imagine if they were the Chicago Bulls, the exact same players, but you're just changing the jersey.
They would still, no.
Everyone would be in love with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Because they're from Oklahoma City.
Here's how I know you're wrong. If that team was the Philadelphia 76ers, you'd be losing it. If the Oklahoma City Thunder,
because of the Philly stench.
The Oklahoma City Thunder were the Philadelphia 76ers and SGA was doing this, you'd be losing your shit.
Not true. Because you know what? I root for Shai. I will stand for Shai. This, Hamilton's finest, putting on for his city, putting on for his country, wearing the Canada across his chest. Okay. Shai gets busy. He gets buckets. What do you have? 46 last night to win.
How many were free throws?
Struggling. Listen, they don't.
How many times you get to the line?
Okay. They don't ask
No, they don't ask you how. They do ask you how many.
Sorry. Damn it. I messed that up.
They don't ask you how. We're in the bag for Wemby out of the West. I've shown them I have two little girls.
Wait a second.
I have a 5-year-old.
I know what this is really about. I know what this is really about. I've solved this already.
What's that?
The real reason you're out on OKC is because you want to freely root for the Spurs. And this is the budding rivalry that's going on right now. The Spurs and Thunder. This is the budding rivalry in the NBA. And you want to just freely hate on your own Canadians here and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
And my Oklahomans.
And your Oklahomans. And root for Wembanyama and the Spurs. That's what you want to do. That's what this is really about. This is where your OKC hate coming from, isn't it?
When the Warriors were winning 73 games, I hated the Warriors.
Okay.
I can't stand when these teams win 35 games in a row or whatever. I root for the underdog. I do not root for the team that gets all the calls and has a 10-game lead in the conference. I want them to get beat by the 8th seed. So
you don't like greatness, is what you're saying.
I love greatness, but I want to see greatness achieve and then the next person get it. I don't like dynasties other than the Philadelphia Eagles, who have, won 2 Super Bowls now. They've been to a bunch. Hey, we're heading back this year.
How did you go from Wemby to the Philadelphia Eagles? Please, like what? Only Andrew Webster can be talking about Victor Wembanyama, who's from France, and take that and somehow end up in a discussion about the Philadelphia Eagles dynasty. What?
Listen,
none of that makes any sense.
What about Bo Bichette? I just keep refreshing Twitter to see Bo Bichette in a Phillies uniform. I cannot wait.
This feels like as good a time as any to wrap up our return back.
Starting to fall apart here.
Canada Hoops Daily podcast. I do want to end each week, though, with the recommendation of what you're watching, where each of us will give something of just like what we've watched in the last week that doesn't involve basketball or sports, unless it's a sports doc. We will let a sports doc slide. But What are you watching, my dude?
Okay, I got out to the theater. Everybody go to the movie theaters, support your local movie theaters. I went to see Marty Supreme.
Oh, okay.
And Marty Supreme was fantastic.
Does it get 2 thumbs up from Webby?
It does get big 2 thumbs up. Tyler, the creator, in the movie, fantastic.
Okay.
He was super good. Gwyneth Paltrow in the movie, super good. Mr. Wonderful, Kevin Leary from Dragon's Den. In the movie.
He's in that movie. Kevin O'Leary, is that his name?
I regret to inform you, Mr. Wonderful, very good in this movie. Did not know he could act. But you buy the popcorn.
His whole
and the
gimmick is an act. What do you mean?
You buy the ticket, you buy the popcorn for one reason only. And that's White Boy of the Year, Timothée Chalamet. And Timmy in this movie is unbelievable. Sheldon, he has some of the best lines in this movie, some of the best dialogue coming out of this guy's mouth. That is hilarious. Okay. And it's a Josh Safdie brothers made Uncut Gems. Very much that same sort of like a little bit of anxiety going on. Like the people are running around. There's a lot going on, but it's about ping pong. It's a sports movie. I can't recommend it enough. It is, but like the three best movies I've seen this year are Sinners, One Battle After Another, and Marty Supreme. So I'm sure it'll be on TV soon enough, but if you can make it out to the theater, there are some things that happen in this movie that I was sitting in my seat going, what the fuck? Like coming out of crazy stuff. The other one that I will say is that wife peripherally, I got a new TV for Christmas. So I've been watching TV with my wife for like the last 8 months. And she watched Heated Rivalry, and I've been making Going to the Cottage and Tuna Melt jokes as much as I can. Yeah, hilarious show.
I don't know what that means, but okay, sure. You don't have to explain. Do not explain.
And then the next one is a preview for next week because I thought it dropped last night. I guess it only dropped in the States. Here in Canada, it looks like it's not coming out until Sunday. The Pit.
Oh, okay.
If you didn't watch season 1 of The Pit, catch up. It's fucking awesome. Season 2 comes out in Canada on Sunday, so I'm going to watch the first episode. You're the same age roughly as me, Shelley. ER was a big deal for me growing up. It was always on Thursday nights at 10 o'clock. My parents had let me stay up and watch it. So I love that like doctor show. It's not like Grey's Anatomy where it's like relationshipy. It is.
Don't hate on Grey's Anatomy. Still cooking.
But we are in the ER and we are sewing people up and we are draining wounds and it's fucking awesome. So Pitt coming back on Sunday, Marty Supreme, Timmy Chalamet, Cooper DeJean, Andrew Webster. We're all in for White Boy of the Year 2026. Cooper Flagg as well. He's in it. Dude, Cooper Flagg's dropping like 30 points a game. I look at the stats and he takes he hits 1-3 a game. The guy is doing it, man.
He's nice.
Cooper Flagg is nice. Old school throwback white Karl Malone.
He's nice. He's definitely nice. I mean, what a great way to wrap up our return.
What have you been watching? Sorry, what have you been watching?
No. We'll keep that. You put a lot on the list there. I will get caught up next week. I want to watch. I do want to watch Marty Supreme for sure. I do love The Pit, so I'm excited for that to be back. I thought that was one of the. Yeah, that was one of the best shows of last year for sure. I definitely. I had to think about. Wait, was that last year or earlier this year? I was like, wait, oh no, we're in January, so it was last year.
2026, baby. Let's go.
I did finish recently watching that show, All Her Fault. I did watch.
Oh that. Yeah. Was that the one with
Shiv?
What's her name?
Shiv.
Yeah.
And Lawrence from Insecure. Did you watch that show?
Yeah. I did. Well, I watched. Like I said, I was watching peripherally.
There's a lot going on. So it was one of those you're kind of watching, but not really watching it.
First episode was sick, but I called it right away. I was like, oh, that old lady she's gonna matter. The first when she goes to the house, I told my wife that, and I was like, watch. We're going to see her.
My issue with that show, although I thought I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. It was a good enough watch. Like it kept me in until the end to see like what happened and the twists. And there were a lot of twists and turns in it. Like it was good. But the one thing I will say, which is completely unfair of me to say, I'm acknowledging this out the front end. The entire time I'm watching that show, it wasn't the characters in the show. Like I was watching Shiv from Succession. What's my guy's sister's name from The Bear?
Abby Elliott.
Yes, Abby Sugar from The Bear, right? Lawrence from Insecure.
Dude from White Lotus first
exactly,
season.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? And that guy was casted so well too, right? Like he is that dude. That was the one thing. Yeah. Like if it wasn't him, I wouldn't have even thought he was shady from the beginning. But because it was that dude, I'm like, there's something about him. He's going to be a part of this. He's going to do something fucked up for sure. And guess what? Yeah, it was exactly that. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a good show. But like, that was my only issue. Like everyone, and then Amanda, what's her name? Amanda Siegfried. She's just
yeah.
Oh no,
or Seyfried. No,
it was Dakota Fanning. Who's in that?
Oh show? Yeah, PETA. It was PETA.
Am I mixing up my
your white girls? White girl, white girl 2026.
We need to end this pod right.
White girl of the year 2026.
I never said that. No comment.
Sydney Sweeney for 4 years running. Just put her down.
Oh man, Webby. All I'm gonna say is it's good to be back.
It's good to be back. It's good to be back. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't even remember how I used to end this pod. This is amazing. Hopefully you enjoyed this edition of the Canada Hoops Daily Podcast. It's good to be back. We're going to try to do this each and every Friday, bringing you just whatever's going on in the basketball world, obviously with the Canadian spin. As a reminder, make sure you tune in to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Like, follow, and subscribe. That's how you stay up to date with all of, the content that could be coming from us here. You can follow us on YouTube. Just search Sheldon Alexander. Of course, social media accounts, Canada Hoops Daily on Instagram, Can Hoops Daily on the app formerly known as Twitter. That's how you keep up to date. Let us know what you think. What are you guys watching? Who should we be talking about? March Madness is coming up. There's a lot of Canadians involved on both the men's and women's side as well. So we'll be deep diving into that for sure. Lots going on in the basketball world. Shea will be back as he will be making a run despite what Webby and Victor Wembanyama say. The Raptors will be having a good year. There'll be tons of talk. So send us your comments, questions, and concerns. You see it up on the screen, A Webster 84, if you want to chirp him for his bad takes. And my ats aren't up there, so you can't send me anything about my bad takes. You can find me on Twitter at Shell Alexander, on Instagram at Sheldon Alexander. And as I always say, I used to pray for times like this to rhyme like this. This is the Canada Hoops Daily Podcast. As always, unpolished and unapologetic. Until next time, see ya.